Your support matters with 90% of our viewers yet to subscribe. We need your help to keep creating engaging content. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let us know where you're watching from. Leave your city in the comments below. In the picturesque town of Maplewood, where autumn leaves danced in the crisp breeze and every corner seemed to whisper tales of love and loss, lived a woman named Clara. Clara was the epitome of grace with a smile that could light up the gloomiest of days. She had always been the nurturing soul in her circle, an avid gardener, a passionate cook, and a devoted wife to her husband, Mark. Mark was a dedicated software engineer, often lost in the world of codes and algorithms. His work required long hours, leaving Clara to manage their cozy home and indulge in her hobbies. While their life together was comfortable, Clara couldn't shake the feeling of monotony that had settled over their marriage. The once vibrant conversations about dreams and aspirations had dwindled into discussions about bills and chores. The turning point came during a weekend barbecue at their home, where laughter echoed and friends gathered under the fading sun. Among the guests was Alex, Mark's college friend, who had recently moved back to town, charismatic and adventurous. Alex brought a spark of energy that Clara hadn't realized she craved. As the evening progressed, Clara found herself drawn to Alex's infectious enthusiasm for life, reminiscing about old college days and shared adventures. "Remember that time we got lost on our road trip?" Clara laughed, her eyes sparkling with nostalgia. "Oh, how could I forget? I thought we were going to end up in another state." Alex responded, his laughter ringing like music in the air. As the night wore on, Clara and Alex engaged in deeper conversations, sharing their dreams and aspirations, while Mark was busy grilling and chatting with other friends. Clara felt a connection with Alex that was both exhilarating and terrifying. It was as if their souls had intertwined, if only for a moment. The next few weeks unfolded like a well-written novel. Clara and Alex began to meet more frequently, initially under the guise of discussing a community project they both cared about. These meetings quickly evolved into coffee dates and long walks in the park, where they would share their thoughts, dreams, and fears. Clara felt seen, heard, and understood in ways she hadn't experienced in years. One sunny afternoon, as they strolled through the vibrant park, Alex turned to Clara, a serious expression on his face. "You know, Clara, sometimes life leads us to unexpected places. It's okay to seek happiness." His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Clara felt a rush of emotions, confusion, excitement, and a hint of guilt. "I love Mark," but she hesitated, looking away. "I just feel stuck." "Sometimes." Alex stepped closer, his voice softening. "And you deserve to feel alive. We all do." As their connection grew stronger, so did Clara's internal battle. She cherished her life with Mark, who was kind and supportive, yet she couldn't help but feel drawn to the thrill of her burgeoning relationship with Alex. The exhilaration of sneaking away for secret meetings and stolen moments became intoxicating. However, the weight of her choices began to press down on her. Clara started crafting excuses to explain her absences to Mark, who remained blissfully unaware of the emotional storm brewing within his wife. The guilt gnawed at her, but Alex's presence was a bright spot in her life, a reminder of the vibrant woman she once was. One evening, as Clara prepared dinner for Mark, she glanced at their wedding photo hanging on the wall. The smiles captured in that moment felt distant, almost like a faint echo of a long-lost dream. The aroma of her favorite dish filled the kitchen, but Clara's heart was heavy with uncertainty. "Everything okay, Clara?" Mark asked, entering the kitchen with a warm smile, blissfully unaware of the turmoil within her. "Yeah, just a long day," she replied, forcing a smile. Later that night, as they sat on the couch watching their favorite show, Clara couldn't shake the feeling of disconnection. She felt like she was living a double life each moment, with Alex drawing her further away from the life she had built with Mark. As the weeks turned into months, Clara found herself at a crossroads. The thrill of her secret relationship with Alex was both exhilarating and suffocating. The lines between right and wrong blurred as she navigated her feelings, torn between her loyalty to Mark and her growing feelings for Alex. One rainy afternoon, Clara and Alex found themselves huddled under an awning outside a quaint cafe. The atmosphere was charged with unspoken tension as they shared a moment of silence, both contemplating the gravity of their situation. Alex said softly, breaking the quiet, "I can't pretend that this connection isn't real. It feels like we're meant for something more." Clara's heart raced as she considered his words. The allure of a new beginning beckoned to her, but she was also painfully aware of the consequences. The thought of hurting Mark, the man who had stood by her side through thick and thin, weighed heavily on her. "Maybe we should take a step back," Clara suggested, her voice trembling. "This isn't fair to him." Alex's expression shifted, a flicker of disappointment crossing his face. "But what about us? What about what we have?" The conflict within Clara deepened. She knew she had to confront her feelings head-on to decide what path to take in that moment. She realized that the choices she made would define her, shaping not only her future, but also the lives of those she cared about. As the rain poured down around them, Clara felt an overwhelming sense of clarity. She had to confront the truth not just for herself, but for Mark as well. The tangled threads of her life were unraveling, and it was time to face the consequences of her choices. The rain drummed steadily against the cafe roof, mirroring the turmoil inside Clara's heart. She had taken a step back from the whirlwind of emotions and desires that had begun to consume her. As she stared into the depths of her coffee cup, she felt the weight of her decisions, pressing down on her shoulders like a heavy cloak. Over the following days, Clara struggled to find balance. The thrill of her secret meetings with Alex lingered like a sweet perfume, intoxicating yet suffocating. Each time she returned home to Mark, she wore a mask of normalcy, suppressing the guilt that threatened to bubble to the surface. Mark had noticed the subtle shifts in Clara's demeanor. He was perceptive, a trait he often took pride in, but he attributed her distance to work, stress, or the seasonal blues. He increased his efforts to connect with her, planning a weekend getaway to rekindle their romance. Clara appreciated the gesture, but it also deepened her internal conflict. "Clara, how about a trip to the lake this weekend?" Mark suggested one evening, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Just the two of us. I think we could use a break." Clara forced a smile, her heart racing at the thought of lying to him. "That sounds wonderful. Mark, I'd love that." As the weekend approached, Clara's anxiety grew. She knew she had to confront her feelings not just for herself, but for Mark, who deserved the truth. The day before their trip, she found herself sitting on the edge of their bed, the weight of the world resting on her shoulders. "Mark," she began, her voice quivering. "Can we talk for a minute?" Mark looked up from his packing concern, etched across his face. "Of course, what's on your mind?" Clara took a deep breath, steeling herself for the conversation that had been brewing for weeks. "I've been feeling disconnected. I think we need to address some things in our relationship." Mark's expression shifted, a mixture of confusion and concern. "What do you mean? Is it work? Are you unhappy?" Clara hesitated, the words caught in her throat. "It's not that simple. I just feel like we've lost something along the way." As Mark listened, Clara fought back tears. She felt like a tightrope walker, balancing on the edge of honesty and betrayal. Mark reached for her hand, his grip warm and reassuring. "We can work through anything. Clara, just tell me what you're feeling in that moment." Clara felt a surge of love for Mark, the man who had stood by her side through so much. But the truth was a heavy burden, and she struggled to find the words. "We've been spending time with Alex. It started innocently, but I can't deny that I developed feelings for him." The silence that followed was deafening. Mark's expression shifted from concern to shock, his grip on her hand loosening. "You've been seeing Alex. How could you? I didn't mean for it to happen." Clara pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "I felt lost and he was there. I never wanted to hurt you." Mark's face fell, the pain in his eyes cutting through Clara like a knife. "I trusted you. Clara, how could you betray that trust?" I know I've made mistakes and I'm so sorry, Clara replied, her voice breaking, but I need to be honest with you. I want to work through this, whatever it takes. Mark stood up, pacing the small room, his emotions swirling like a storm. Do you love him? The question hung in the air, heavy with gravity. Clara's heart raced. She had to confront the truth. I don't know. I care about him, but I love you. You're my husband. Is that enough? Mark asked, his voice strained. Is love enough to make up for betrayal? The weight of his words settled over Clara like a lead blanket. She had shattered the trust they had built over the years, and now she had to face the consequences. I don't want to lose you, Mark. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Mark stopped pacing and looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and anger. You've left me with a choice, Clara. I need time to think. 1-1s. As he walked out of the room, Clara felt a profound sense of loss. She had opened the Pandora's box of truth, and now there was no turning back. The weekend getaway loomed ahead, a painful reminder of the life they had built together. The next day they arrived at the lake, the serene beauty starkly contrasting the turmoil within Clara. Mark remained distant, and the weight of unspoken words hung heavily in the air between them. Clara tried to engage him in small talk, but he responded with short-clipped answers, his mind clearly elsewhere, as dusk fell. Clark stood on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. She felt a pang of longing for the connection they once had, the laughter and the dreams they had shared. Clara Mark's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back to reality. He stepped outside, his expression softened by the fading light. Can we talk? Clara nodded, her heart racing as they sat on the porch steps. I'm sorry for everything, Mark. I never meant to hurt you, Mark sighed, running a hand through his hair. I just don't understand how this happened. We were happy, weren't we? We were? Clara admitted, her voice barely above a whisper, but somewhere along the way, I lost sight of who I was. I thought I could find that part of me again with Alex, but I was wrong. And now Mark asked, his eyes. Searching hers for answers, Clara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her choices pressing down on her. I want to rebuild what we had. I want to fight for us if you're willing to give me a chance. Mark's silence was deafening as he considered her words. Finally, he spoke, his voice steady but filled with pain. Trust isn't something that can be easily rebuilt. Clara, it takes time, and I need to know that you're committed to making this work. I am, Clara said earnestly, tears spilling down her cheeks. I will do whatever it takes to earn back your trust. I love you, Mark. The tension between them was palpable, but Clara could see a flicker of hope in Mark's eyes. He reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. I want to believe you, but it's going to take time. I need to process everything. As they sat in silence, the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, a reminder of the beauty that still existed in their world. Clara knew the road ahead would be challenging, but she was determined to face it alongside Mark. Days turned into weeks as Clara and Mark navigated the aftermath of her betrayal. They attended couples therapy, where they began to peel back the layers of their relationship, addressing the issues that had led Clara to seek solace in Alex. It was a painful but necessary journey, filled with tears, frustration, and moments of breakthrough. Clara learned to express her feelings openly while Mark worked on understanding Clara's needs and desires. Slowly, they began to rebuild their foundation brick by brick. It was a process fraught with challenges, but both were committed to healing and growth. Meanwhile, Clara made the difficult decision to cut ties with Alex. She knew that continuing to see him would only complicate things further. One afternoon, she met him at their favorite cafe, where they had shared so many laughs and dreams. Alex greeted her with a warm smile, but Clara felt a heaviness in her heart. Alex, we need to talk, she said, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. His expression shifted, a hint of concern flashing in his eyes. "What's wrong?" "I've decided to focus on my marriage," Clara replied, her heart aching at the words. "I can't see you anymore. I need to work on rebuilding my life with Mark." Alex's face fell disappointment, clouding his features. "I understand, but it doesn't change how I feel." "I know," Clara said, fighting back tears. "But I have to be honest with myself and with Mark. I can't keep living a lie." As they parted ways, Clara felt a sense of loss wash over her. She had to mourn the relationship that could have been, but she also felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was choosing to fight for her marriage, to reclaim the love that had once flourished. Months passed, and Clara and Mark continued to work through their issues. They celebrated small victories like sharing a laugh over dinner or taking walks together without the weight of unspoken words hanging over them. Each day was a step toward healing, a testament to their resilience. One evening, as they sat on the couch, Mark turned to Clara, a smile breaking through the shadows of their past. "You know, I've seen you grow so much through this process. I'm proud of you." Clara beamed, feeling a warmth spread through her heart. "Thank you. Mark, it's been a journey, but I'm grateful for your patience and understanding." Mark took her hand, his gaze sincere. "I want us to keep growing together, to reconnect on a deeper level." "Me too," Clara replied, her voice filled with determination. "I want to rediscover the joy we once had." As they leaned into each